Hello, everybody. You are welcome here. We are live and direct from Feggicolla Nostalgia Chat, and we are here again to mingle and what? Mingle and mingle and laugh and have a brain,
And generally
Now.
have fun.
yes, sir.
Mingle
Yes,
and
sir.
mingle and jingle.
Yes, tingle and mingle. I'll say, and have a laugh, and just to remember lovely
Happy.
memories, and hoping that others will join us very soon. But we will start. We will start. Um, so today we're talking about teachers and their impacts. Teachers and their impact. There are some um, people who were very helpful on different platforms who sent pictures. And also from my research of going on Facebook, I got some pictures as well of teachers. And this is a picture of the month. We have some lovely teachers here, particular teachers. Some I know, some I can't remember. I don't know if it was our days or days before, days after. I mean, years after or years before.
I think all these ones that we have
Our
here are during our
encyclopedia is
days.
not here.
All these ones
Our
that we
days,
have
our
here,
days.
I think it's only one person that I may not really recognize.
I can see
Can
Mr.
see
Mole.
Mr.
Can you
Mole.
zoom it a bit? Because I
Zoom
can't
it a
see the
bit, because I
face.
can't see the faces.
The
Yes,
room.
Mr. Omole, Miss Ogemudia.
Okay, well,
Then
Mr.
okay, well,
Molene
Mr. Molene celebrated, yes,
his
his
birthday.
birthday.
I think early. Yeah. Okay. I think how many years? Yeah. I remember that one, but not too you.
Okay. Bola, which ones do you
Which ones
remember?
do you remember? I remember Mr. Bodunde, of
Yeah.
course, Princey. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
I remember Princey. Then Mrs.
I
Adewumi,
think it was
our
the
Yoruba
VP.
teacher. Yeah, yes, Mr. Bodunde was the
I think
VP.
Abodinde
I
was
think it
VP
was
admin.
VP admin, yes.
Admin.
Then Miss, yes, admin.
Uh-huh.
Then
Ojumu.
Princey,
Ojumu
Miss
was
Ojumu was
VP.
the
I can't
VP
remember what.
academics.
Academics.
She was
Yeah.
yes, she was VP
Academics. Yeah.
academics.
Yeah.
Then there's Mrs. Adewumi, she was a Yoruba teacher. Then I think that's late Mrs. Ayodele.
Yes.
She died while we were in school. She was
Yeah. Boarding house miss.
uh, she was yes, senior boarding house mistress. But then she was also what was this? Um Guidance and counseling teacher. And I think she also taught CRK or something. I'm not sure about, but I know she was a guidance. I think she was even the head of the guidance and counseling department. Then there's Miss what's her name, Miss Ajayi. She was a fine art teacher. She's at the back there. Then that's Miss what's this big Yansh woman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
Mrs. Oshinu be your shine.
Oh, yes. Um,
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 she was senior boarding house mistress. Then I think she also taught CRK or something. I think she also taught CRK.
I can't hear
I
you
can't hear you
people.
people. Oh, what happened? Can you hear us now?
okay, she's
Okay,
gone.
she's gone. Okay, maybe she's gone out to come back in. Then there is this woman. I can't remember her name, but I remember the way she walks. I remember her very well, but I can't remember her name. I can the one in glasses, the one in the green. What is it called? And she's also on this general picture, but I can't remember her name.
Stella Bernadette.
Yes, Miss Stella. Yes, I
Mm-hmm.
see her. And who else? Then the pastor's wife, Mrs.
Agbelusi.
Agbelusi. I think I see Mrs. Agbelusi beside Mrs. Ojumo. I think it's Mrs. Agbelusi that's sitting beside Mrs. Ojumo. Yes, I've tried, Jerry.
Yes, you've tried. You've tried. Thank you. Wow, that's it's true. That's all I can see as well. All I can know. I mean, all I know. And of course, this picture here, while we're waiting
Ah,
for
that,
others, to
that's our Princey. Ìyá ń bọ̀, ìyá fúnra rẹ̀. Miss Oshode. But I don't know this man in glasses. I don't think I know, apart from Princey, I don't think I know any of these ones. Or probably it's because it's not their old picture. Maybe I don't know their new faces. But apart from Princey, I don't know any of these other ones.
sorry, I'll need to, before I talk, I'll need to mute so that there's no echo and all of that. Yeah, so I don't know them either, but some people have put the pictures there as oh, the logo there is blocking the face of that person. As teachers, I'm sure they were after us because they look younger than the teachers who will be in our set. So that takes us to teachers and their impacts. Can we remember names of teachers at Feggicolla apart from the ones that have been have been mentioned?
Yes, I remember Mrs. Adegbilero, a very wonderful teacher. She was a French teacher, and I loved her so much. Then I think there was this teacher that was in charge of the talk shop. I can't remember her name. Like she was
Miss Sola Sende.
yes, Mrs. Lasseinde. Yes, yes. I remember her too. Then which other teacher? Um, there was this English teacher that I also liked, but I can't remember her name. Then there was this business studies teacher. The thing is remembering their names. I still remember all these teachers, but remembering their name. Then this sports teacher that looked like a man. I think she was Miss something. She wasn't married. She had the physique of a man. She was a sports teacher. Then Mrs. Fasomino. I remember Mrs. Fasomino or Miss Fasomino.
Was that the French teacher?
Sorry?
Was that the French teacher?
Miss Fasomino was a French teacher as well. But Mr. Degbilero was another French teacher. I think she was the head of the French department at the time. Mr. Degbilero. Then Mr. Otter, our very own Mr. Otter.
Yeah, I remember.
If Ronke was there, she would have been so excited to mention Mr. Otter. I'm sure he would have been the first person she mentioned, Mr. Otter. Then there was Call Me Tosin. I can't remember his surname, but I know we used to call him Call Me Tosin because I think I guess during our senior set, maybe they said they asked for his name. He was a physics teacher. He came newly at the time, and then they asked for his name, and he mentioned his name, and he was like, "Just call me Tosin." But later he had to stop that because you bet that students will overdo it. So I remember that I call him Call Me Tosin. I remember I call him that. Yeah.
How about the
I
Intratech teachers?
intro tech. There was Mr. I think his name is Akinyemi or Adeyemi, the one that is always throwing bullets. He was TD teacher. Yes, he was a TD teacher.
Drawing.
Technical drawing, yes. And he always tells you if you don't buy your technical drawing sheet from him, you are sure to fail. You only pass if you buy from him, but if you buy from outside, you definitely will fail. So I remember him well. Then I think there was one Mr. Hussein. There was Mr. Hussein. I can't remember what he taught. But I remember, in fact, I can like see his face kind of right now, Mr. Hussein. Then I remember a lot of them. I remember a
Wow.
lot of them. Wow.
Can't
Then
remember
there was
more
Can't
than.
remember more Mrs. Olatunde or something. I think she was also a PE teacher. She used to have this bracelet around her leg. I think it's usually the left leg. She was very light complexioned. I think she's Mrs. Olatunde. I remember her too.
Hmm.
Um, I think I remember quite a lot of them. Quite a lot of them.
Well, you
Well,
were the ones that
you
went
were
to
the ones that
academy,
went to
because I can't remember most of them except the pictures. I can say, oh yeah, I know this face, I know this face, but the names, I can't. And I know there was a white lady in home economics then.
Mrs. Osheyemi or something. I remember her. I think it's Mrs. Osheyemi or something. I can't remember her name, but I remember her very well.
Mm,
She has a Yoruba name. The husband was Yoruba.
mm, mm.
Mm. I remember
Wow.
her well.
Kudos to your brain.
Kudos to your brain. Then I remember there was this uh, I think it was either home management or foods and nutrition that she used to use purple lipstick. I can't remember her name, but I remember she
Would that be
uses
Miss
purple
Stella?
lipstick. No, it wasn't Miss Stella.
Mm.
It wasn't. She uses purple lipstick. You remember there was a riot in Feggicolla at a time because of um, two teacher, because of a female teacher and a student there that were both befriending a man.
Ah,
It is purple lipstick that was the teacher that was befriending the teacher, the male teacher, with the students.
nah, wow.
So I remember that very well.
Mm.
I can't remember her name, but I know
Okay.
I used to call her purple lipstick.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Birthdays.
Yay! Birthday. Yes.
So
Um, this first person, ah,
that's Lamide Akeju.
Lamide Akeju. I think she was in Blue House.
Mm-hmm.
I think she was in Blue House. I remember her. She may have been in CSET during her junior days. I can't remember vividly, but I know I knew her very well in school. Not too well, but I knew her. And then Biodun Kehinde. I think that's Biodun Kehinde.
Yeah.
Biodun Kehinde was in Yellow House. I don't think I remember her that well in school, I guess, but of course she's been very active on our platform, so I know her well now, but I don't think I know her that much when we were in
And
school. Then Idowu Moleyin has always
no,
she
that's not
is
the
that
Omolenyo.
who is this?
The Wakerele.
Okay, Akerele. Okay, yes, the Wakerele. Yes.
We were
It's
both
the
in Blue
Wakerele
House anyway.
actually. Yes, it's the Wakerele actually that I have in my brain, but I guess I mixed up the surname. The Wakerele has always been matured. She has always had this matured attitude. She was quite matured, so which means she didn't play too much. And I think she was really brilliant. I think she was in either A or C class. I can't remember,
Mm.
but she was quite matured, and I think she was Ireti Kolawole's very good friend, even as at that time. And I think they are still
Mm.
close to an extent. Yes.
Wow.
So
Wonderful.
wonderful. Yes.
Well done.
Well done.
Me, I can't. Well, I know them now. I know their names. I know, but I can't remember Biodun Kende. I've been racking my brain to remember how, but for some reason. Anyway, our next question is: do we remember any of the non-academic staff? I'm sure we'll remember the kitchen staff, even if you don't remember the people that supply us with the food. We'll remember those.
Supply us with the food.
Not by
We'll
name though.
remember. I don't really remember the kitchen staff.
Not
Not
by name though.
I don't even really remember them. The only person that I think I remember is remember Baba Dewale. I think he was the only male kitchen staff self.
Yes.
Is the only one that I can confidently say that yes, I remember. But aside
How
that,
about
all
the
those
lab?
women, I don't think I
How
remember
about the
any
lab?
of them. Of course, Fat
Spicy
and Short.
biscuits.
Uh,
Spicy biscuits.
what's that his name self?
Michael.
Why do I forget?
Michael.
But Baba, Uncle
I think it was
Mike. Uncle Mike. Yes, I remember Uncle Mike.
Yeah.
Apart from those two, I don't think I remember any non-academic staff. I think I remember there was one old man that used to cut the grass. Of course, I don't know his name, but the reason I remembered him then was, in a way, I don't know, my little mind, my childish mind, I felt sorry for him, kind of, because I felt at this age you are still cutting grass. And I remember I would always ask myself, like, does he not have children? Why is he cutting grass at this age and all that? So I
Mm.
remember him, but of course I never knew his name and I never related with him. But I remember, oh, non-teaching staff. I remember
Mm.
matron, the matron that retired. She
Which
was a
one?
mother.
Okay.
The
Okay.
one that
In
retired
the
while we were in
dispensary.
school.
Okay. In the dispensary.
No, she was matron. She was, that we had
Ayodele.
hostel matron.
Ayodele.
No, not senior boarding house mistress. We had
Yeah.
matrons that were non-teaching staff.
Okay.
So we had this woman. She was plumb and she was really nice. She was our matron. Then there was another one that was the assistant matron, younger, that was the assistant matron. So the assistant matron now later became the matron after that matron retired. I
Mm.
remember her very well. Yes, because at the time she retired, she was like, she never wanted to leave, but her children were like, you've done enough, so you need to, we want to enjoy you too, and all that and all that. And she was really very nice. The
Oh.
assistant matron, who now later became the matron, was not a nice woman at all.
Mm.
I remember them. Yes.
So thank you
So
for
who? Thank
joining
you for
us.
joining us.
Those
Those.
online, those who are joining, who are here with us, thank you, thank you, thank you for being here with us. You haven't left us alone to just be talking about this. So we'll expect your comments in the comments box so that you can tell us what you have also, or those you remember and what you remember about the teachers who have made positive impact on us and those who have made a negative impact. It's your time to write your experience. So thank you for joining. Just remember to comment, remember to like, remember to share, and we will continue with the videos. So sorry, you see that I have to mute Bola to talk because there's an echo behind the scene. So bear with us, bear with us.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, another. Yes,
another set of birthdays.
birthdays. I will. I will talk about brainwave for the first. First, she was in Populars. Of course, she was in my house. I can't remember who used to call her brainwave. Of course, her name is actually Braithwaite. But there was, I think, maybe a teacher or something that yesterday brainwave. So I remember her. Yesterday Braithwaite. Of course, I always loved her surname. It was so unique.
Posh
Posh
surname.
surname. Yes, very posh. And she was also posh herself. She was quiet. I think back then, let me try to remember. I think she carried a low coat. I can't remember vividly though, but I think she carried a low coat back then. And she was quiet. She was a nice person.
Yeah, I think she
Then,
was in
yeah, I
F
think
class.
she was
One
in
of
F class,
the
one of the,
F
yes,
class was
no,
like the
F class
social
was like
group
the
though.
social group. Yes. Um, then this is Anita Anyang, right? Is that Anita Anyang? Okay. I don't know her that well, so I can't really say much about her.
Tinuke Pedro,
Tinuke Pedro. Tinuke
Blue House.
Pedro. Blue House. I didn't know her that well back then. I think I have just a very um, slight memory of her. I know that name very well. Of course, if I If I was anywhere and I heard Tinuke Pedro, I'd know, okay, yeah, she was in Feggicolla. But I may not even remember that she was my set. I didn't know her that well back then.
Yeah, I think she was in F class as well. I think if I'm not mistaken, either F class or C class, but I think my brain says F class because with Larry, Shoyombo, I know the Hero and all this people, but I may be wrong. Yeah. Okay. Or maybe was she in E? I know she was just around us. The other E, C, F, or E, but I was in E. I don't know if she was. Anyway, but yeah, I remember she was very slim. Tinuke Pedro was very, very, I don't want to say thin, very slim. Okay.
Okay.
So
So
on. So what are
so
the general expectations from teachers? Let me maybe I should start with what I think I expect of teachers. I'll just say a few points. What I expect teachers, expecting that teachers, will make their class interesting and fun. They want, teachers are meant to be passionate about their jobs. You see it on them. You see it the way they teach the students. You expect that teachers will be ready to help students learn. I'm reading what I've written here. They want, teachers are meant to be able to admit their mistakes, not as a know-it-all. Teachers are meant to teach and not lecture. So lecturing is a different ballgame. That's the university stage. So we expected them to, teach us and show us things, the way they should be done. They need to be respectful. Like they say, respect is mutual. Respect the students respect you. The teachers value their time, and teachers are focused on teaching. There's so many other ones, but I'll stop there. So what are your expectations of teachers generally? When you say, oh, this person is a teacher, what do you expect that they will, sorry, yeah. So what do we expect of them as
of them
teachers?
as teachers.
Okay, for me, I expect that, like you said, the teacher should be passionate about her job. It's not like nowadays that people go into teaching because they don't have any other job. So you discover that they are doing the job and they are angry about it, and they are taking out all the anger and all the frustration on the students. You have teachers that would come in and be like, if you don't understand, you're on your own. No, if you don't understand, you meet me in the exam and all that. Trying to. I don't expect that a teacher should be trying to score a point over their students.
Hmm.
You're supposed to teach. They are there because they don't know. If they knew, they will probably not be there. They probably be in front teaching you if they knew. So for them to be behind, sitting in front of you while you teach, that means that means the students don't know. So you should teach them. So don't try to be in a competition with your students. Don't try to score a point over your students. If your students have been able to come up with a very brilliant idea or a very brilliant solution that you were not able to think about or you were not able to think of, you should commend that student and let that student know that, yes, that's wonderful. You've done a really wonderful job. I've learned something. You should be able to accept your mistakes. If you make a mistake, accept it, own it, apologize for it, and let that student know that, yes, you've been able to even teach that student one more thing, or the student has been able to teach you one more thing. There's no
Yeah.
competition about it.
Hmm.
So I expect that a teacher should have the best interest of the students at heart. You want them to know. You are not there to, like, I don't want to use the word bitch. I don't want to use the word witch. There are some teachers that basically are witches. I don't believe in the fact that a teacher will come and tell you, in my class you cannot score an A. Why? What's the big deal about that? That makes you a poor teacher as far as I'm concerned. I don't expect a teacher to tell you, I cannot give you 100%. If you deserve the 100%, give it to the student. That means the student has done an extra work. You,
Yes.
what are
Yes.
you holding the marks for? Or you go to a school and then they tell you that no, my students cannot have an A. My students cannot have, in fact, the best my students can have is a C. For what?
That means
That
you're
means
not
you are
teaching
a
them
bad
well.
teacher. That means you're a bad teacher. If your students cannot make high marks, you are a bad teacher.
Mm,
Simple and short. There's no two
mm,
ways about it. So
true.
I expect that teachers should have the best interest of their students at heart. And it's not
Mm,
just about teaching,
mm,
it's also about mentoring. There are teachers that I've seen that I would want to emulate. I would want to, I know this teacher is, if, you know, that's what I expect from a teacher.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. So I'll say the remaining point I have here about what students expect of teachers is that they want teachers who encourage them to speak up. They want teachers who are lenient. They want teachers who can relate to them. They want teachers who are good classroom managers. So all of these, I can see. Some teachers are not, we're not fair. Once they come into the class and everybody is talking, all they do is punish everybody, or or they silence you, and you're not able to speak, rather than bringing out the best in you. They kind of suppress the best in you and put fear. They don't want you to, like, you're supposed to give them the opportunity to speak out rather than suppress their voices. I think that's what I expect of a teacher.
Yeah, you're very correct. I know there are some teachers that would enter the class and then the students, in fact, that classroom management is very important, because as much as you expect that the teachers should relate well with the students, we don't expect the teacher to now become a clown. We don't expect the teacher not to have control. A teacher should be able to manage the class. The teacher should be able to, at least from the body movement, the students should know when the teacher is serious and when the teacher is joking. When you want to joke with the students, you joke with the students. And when you're serious, the students should know that this is the limit. You can't go past this limit. You find teachers coming into the class. I remember there was a time that I can't remember which teacher that was. I think it was in F class or something during Valentine, that the students actually presented a sanitary pad to the male teacher as
Hmm?
a Valentine present. And they went as far as staining the pad with what was that drink we used to drink that time that
The
reddens our
dinner, the
lips?
dinner.
Right, it wasn't Ribena. I think it was High Time or
Oh,
something.
oh.
I think it was High Time. They went as far as staining it with High Time, and it was really embarrassing. I think it was at that point the teacher knew he he was not just being friendly, he had already turned into a clown, because there are teachers they would never try that with. So I don't expect a teacher to, come to the student level that as far as that does not make sense. So a teacher should be, like you said, a teacher should be able to manage his class. Some teachers will come into the class and the students are doing what they like. They're not even mindful of the fact that there's a teacher in class. Some are strolling in and strolling out the way they like. I know there
Hmm.
are some teachers, they will come into class and you are ready to bang the table once they throw their bullets. Bag, 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 take cover. And then you put your head under the table and all that. But there are some teachers that you, like Mrs. Ayodele. Mrs. Ayodele also threw bullets when she was alive. She threw bullets, but you dare not bang table.
Hmm.
You dare not.
Hmm.
So class management also is
Very
very, very
Yeah.
important.
important.
So even as
Hmm.
much as we expect that teachers should be close to the students, should be approachable, the students should be able to relate with them, or I don't expect that the teacher should now become a clown. I don't
Hmm.
expect that the teacher should now become someone the students can disrespect and then it's okay.
Hmm.
So a teacher should be able to strike a balance. You are
Yeah.
close to the
Yeah.
student, but you are not a clown.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We move to the next one. Birthdays. I'm trying to
I'm
remember
trying to remember.
Alamide. I can't remember her clearly, but of course I remember Tony Odumbaku. She was in E class in front, sitting in front. Kemi Oladapotu was in E class. She was somewhere at the back. So I remember
I
those, but
remember
not
those, but
see.
not see.
Aramide Maureen. Maureen was in Purple House. She was much slimmer back then, and she was tall and slim. She had a very good stature. She still has a good stature though. I remember Aramide Maureen. She was tall, slim, not thin, just
Hmm.
slim. Mm, I remember her. Then Tony Odumbaku. I think Tony Odumbaku was plumpy at that time, if I'm not
Not really.
mistaken.
Not really.
I didn't know her quite well, and I still don't know her quite well, but I think what I have in my head is someone that is a bit plumpy that back then still had a baby fat kind of. I can't remember well. Then our very own Mama Cookies.
Mama Pomo, Mama
Come on,
Cookies.
mama.
Yes, Mama Pomo. Uh, Back then I didn't know her well. Kemi Oladapo. I think she was also in E class or something, either E or F.
Yeah, she was in
Yeah,
E.
she was in E.
Aha, that much. And I think even back then she was tall and slim. I don't think she changed much. I don't think she changed much. But of course, I was not close to her. Although now we're pretty close. But that time we were not close. I didn't know her that well back then.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So
I think that's is that the last of the birthdays? No, we still have another one. So it's talking now is the time to talk about the positive impact. So we've talked about what we expect of teachers and what students expect of their teachers. Now it's time to talk about what are the positive or negative impacts from teachers in Feggicolla. And we're going to be very careful and discreet about this because, like I said, it's an adult conversation. We don't want to name and shame. The essence of this program is not to name and shame, it's about living the lovely memories. And for those who have done wrong, by not leaving a positive impact, by leaving a negative impact, they know themselves. And I hope they turn a new leaf. But like we said, it's about exercising our brains
our
and not
brains and not
using
using
negative
negative
toxins into it.
toxins into it.
Okay, so impact. Yes, I think I had a few teachers that had positive impacts on me. For me, I don't know whether I blank out negative thoughts. I don't know. But I don't think I had any negative run-in with any teacher
Mm,
personally. So for the positive impact, yes, the first person I'm going to talk about is Mrs. Adewumi, because I think she was one of the first people that one of the first teachers that I had a contact with. She was my Yoruba teacher, and she made Yoruba so wonderful for me, so interesting. I I remember each time she comes into or she came into the class that time, she'll be like, of course, we'll greet her in Yoruba, Ẹ káàárọ̀ olùkọ́, and she will be like, Jíire bí. The first time will be Ajire, and she, Ẹ ti ṣí o. She jogged, and tó bá ti bí Jíire bí, it is Ajire, or Adúpẹ́, yes. We will say, Ajire, no, she say, no, Adúpẹ́, and all that. And then she will break that down, the whole thing to us. She made it so interesting. It was so interesting. And even the Yoruba literature reading. In fact, we took the reading in turns, and no matter how poor your Yoruba is, she's ready to correct you. You must read. She would not say, okay, because you are bad with the language, you shouldn't read or whatever. She would listen, she would correct you. She made it so interesting. She made me want to actually really learn the language. It was awesome. And I'll juxtapose her with Baba Dairo. Baba Dairo was also an English teacher that taught us later. I think, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, maybe Mrs. Adeumi left her school, or maybe they just took her away as a Yoruba teacher. I can't remember, but Baba Dairo later took over. And I remember that it was because of Baba Dairo, I particularly decided I was not going to write Yoruba for my WAEC, because he made it seem such a big deal. He
Hmm.
made it seem so difficult. He would say things like "Ma pe konama pipa yin, ma pe konama," and all that. And I had to ask myself, come, if I don't do Yoruba, does that mean I will not graduate? Okay. And he would always say, Yoruba is so important. If you don't register for Yoruba, they will put F9 there. They will do this, they will do that. And I wanted to prove him wrong, that I can graduate without Yoruba. And they will not even put any Yoruba for me and all that. That the Yoruba, one Nigerian language is very important. And of course, because we didn't have Igbo teacher, we didn't have Hausa teacher, so that meant that it must be Yoruba.
Most
So it
Yoruba.
made it so big, such a big deal. And of course, I wasn't getting what he was saying. So it was one reason I just dropped Yoruba, and I dropped Yoruba, and I dropped it successfully. It didn't affect me in any way, and I thank God for that. I think it was maybe only two of us or something. I don't know, but I know we were very few that dropped Yoruba. He put such a fear in people that they felt that no, Yoruba was so important they couldn't drop it. But I did.
Hmm.
Then another person that made a positive impact on me that I will talk about is Miss Ajayi. Miss Ajayi then was our fine art teacher. She came on board later, as in she didn't start with us when we started in JS1. I can't remember whether we were still in JS1 when she came. And she didn't stay too long before she left again. But
Yeah.
that short period that she was with us, she made an impact in my life.
Hmm.
Before I got into secondary school, right from primary school, I used to write novel scripts. And then when I got into secondary school, of course, I tried to put that aside for a while. But of course, because it was in me, I still wrote once in a while and everything. And then
Hmm.
when Miss Ajayi discovered, she actually gave me a diary and was like, all my novel scripts that I wanted to write, I should use that diary so that I don't just write in different books and get them thrown away and everything. I should write them in that diary. And I had that diary for a very, very long time. She was really there for me. She never knew my parents. She never really knew me except as a student. And then she had one of our sets, or somebody in our set, Buki Meshida, was her, I think her niece or
Cousin
something,
of.
her niece or something. So I was close to Buki Meshida at the time. So she got to know me through Buki Meshida, but in fact, she was practically my guardian, so to speak. She was really there for me and all that, at least till she left. And I really missed her after she left. I think after she left for some time when she was abroad, I wrote her a few times, but I'm not the writing type, unfortunately. So we lost contact. So she was really there for me. Then there was Mrs. Adebilero. Mrs. Adebilero was um, a French teacher. She did teach me directly, but because I did French, and then there was, I think she was the head of the French department. We used to go for French competitions, and of course, she was always there. And she was a born again Christian. She was a very sound Christian, so to speak. So she was someone I really looked up to. She was someone I really looked up to. And I guess because of her, I really, really, really loved French. I still, even in my university days, I still picked French as one of my, what is it called? Borrowed courses. That's how much she made me love French. And I
Wow.
did French in my essays, actually.
Hmm.
Yes, I did French. So she was someone I really, really, really looked up to. Then
Okay,
which
while you're
other
trying to
teacher?
remember, while you're trying to remember, I'll maybe I'll say a few because I know you said so much. Thank you very much. It's all of you, your brains are so so wonderful. I'll say, but mine, I think age is getting catching up on me. I don't know, but the ones I remember Mrs. Last Sunday. She used to be our talk shop coordinator. Though I didn't have anything there, but just the dedication to wanting to sell to students and make people comfortable was something that I thought it was worth mentioning, because I don't think we didn't have talk shop for a long while. I think talk shop started towards the maybe middle or end of our year stay in school. I don't think there was any talk shop. People used to sneak out to go and or sneak to ask their students to buy things, and there was no way we could buy things, or for those who didn't go home until maybe the end of term, there was no way of replenishing your stuff. So it was nice that that talk shop was introduced. Yes, Mrs. Agbelegbilero and Agbelusi, sorry, Agbelusi and I think Reverend Agbelusi, they were the ones in charge of the chapel then, and I know that was where I went through the classes, did baptism, confirmation, gave my heart to Jesus, and they were really very supportive with my growth, even though I was in the choir before I actually knew what it meant to be to surrender to Christ. So it was fun. I remember my first audition when I had to, they will tell you to join the choir, you have to come to the audition to sing, and Mrs. Ogemudia was there then too. And I remember the whole thing and how I was chosen, and to be part of the choir. So all of these teachers, they all had impact. And one thing I've noticed with teachers is either you like them or you hate them. Everybody can't like the same teacher, everybody can't like the same or hate the same person. And that goes to show that whatever impact we can make in the lives of those who like us or those we like, let's make it useful to them in the future. So I know some people may not like the ones I like, or like it because of whatever experiences they've had. But there were really some who really had a good impact on me. Mrs. Stella, I can't remember her surname then, but Mrs. Stella Bewaji, she was in home economics. She was Red House boarding house captain. How do you call it?
House,
Sorry, house
boarding
mistress.
house mistress.
She was Red House boarding house mistress at one time, where I think she was fair with the way she dealt with us in Red House. Of course, she was very strict, and all those, but I think she was fair. Apart from that, I can't remember any. Oh, I remember a negative impact. French, I used to love French even before I got into school, but I had a teacher who would always conjugate verbs, and if you don't get it, punishment, you stand up over class, all those I've forgotten how we used to greet that. Yeah, she would say something when she comes in, and then all of us would stand up and reply, and I've forgotten all of those things that we used to do then. But it didn't make French an interesting subject for me, and even after I finished school, I still wanted to learn French, but that thing was still there. So I think teachers should do a survey with their pupils and see what the students want, or not necessarily what the students want, but what is hindering them from choosing a subject or being the best in that subject. Maybe they'll be able to get an answer of why some subjects are being dropped and some subjects are not, or maybe why students don't really like their subjects. Because I believe that for you to love a subject, it also depends on the teacher. Somehow it depends on the teacher. I'm not sure if I'm right.
Yes,
But that's
you're very correct. Like I said, Mrs. Adegbilero was one of those that made me really love French, even though she never taught me. She never taught me, but the way I perceive her, the way she even has control of the language and the way she behaves, the born again Christian and everything, I just fell in love with the language, and I loved it. Then Non-teaching staff. I remember this woman that came later to come and teach us volleyball. I think her name was Gloria. Coach, I think it was Gloria. In fact, that woman, she was supposed to teach everybody, as far as I'm concerned. But she picked out the ones she liked. Then the rest of us, stop bathing with the ball, stop bathing with the ball. Bá bọ́ọ̀lù mú pẹ̀lú gbogbo agbára tọ́lọ́run fún ẹ. Tó bá ya ara mi. And in fact, she was
You
something
remember
else.
what to
You
what?
remember what to what?
In fact, so I remember that one. She was so big and she was as mean as she was big. May the Lord forgive me. She was as mean as she was big. So I think I remember that one too. Then as for teachers that also still made impact, Miss Ogbemudia or Ogemudia. Miss Ogemudia was a wonderful teacher as far as I am concerned. Of course, we've discussed within our sets, and I know that a lot of our sets didn't like her. In fact, they gave her a lot of, even back then, they gave her a lot of names, Robocop, Stiff Neck, and all that. But for me, Miss Ogemudia was a very wonderful teacher. I remember that the very first time she took up our class, because she wasn't there when we were in Form 1, JS1. She wasn't there. It was when we had gotten to probably maybe JS2 or something before she came to our school. And I remember then that even though in D class then we saw ourselves as very good in maths and all that. At least most of us were really good in maths and all that. With the likes of Mr. Otter teaching us, and then even before Mr. Otter, there was this. I think it was either a Calabar man or an Igbo man. I can't remember his name. That was the first. That was the first maths teacher that we had when we first resumed in JS1 or Form 1. They did wonderful jobs as well. And of course, by the time Miss Ogemudia came in, we had a test, and then we discovered that the marking or the way she marked it, was it a test or the exam? By the time we got our scripts back, most of us that expected that we were going to have really high marks, we ended up just having maybe like average. And at that time, she was teaching only our class. And then we discovered that every other arm of maybe JS2 then or something, they were making really high marks. And even people that we felt we were better than in other classes, they had high marks and we had low marks. And then we revolted. We were like, no, this cannot be our mark. We all gathered the paper and we threw the papers at her. That no, you need to go and remark. This cannot be our mark. This is, in fact, we almost rioted.
Really?
Yes, we revolted. We were so angry that what kind of useless marking is this? How can you say blah blah? In fact, I think the head of mathematics department then, I can't remember his name. Or was that Mr. Omole? Was it Mr. Omole that was the head of math? I think it was Mr. Omole then. So we had to, Mr. Omole had to come. I think we wrote directly to Miss Ojumu as the principal, as the VP admin, no, academics,
Academic.
as the VP academics. We went to Miss Ojumu directly and we were like, no, we want this teacher change. She has cheated us. She messed up our marks, blah, blah, blah. So I guess Miss Ojumu now had to tell Mr. Omole to wade into the matter. So he came to our class to come and talk to us. And then at first aired his anger that he was angry that why should we go to maths had a head. There was somebody heading the maths department. Why should we now bypass him to go to Mrs. Ojumo? He said, didn't we know that he and Mrs. Ojumo, they were on the same grade level? Of course, as children, which were concerned us on that grade level, we didn't know at least somebody is VP and somebody is his ordinary teacher. So what should we leave? So you know that he and Mrs. Ojumo, they were on the same level. Why should we and all that and all that? And we were really angry. Then he now told us that we should calm down. After he had aired his own anger, he now told us we should calm down. That actually Miss Ogemudia was giving us the YX standard of marking, that anybody she gives a C will be sure that in YX the person cannot get less than the C, that she's using YX standard and that's the normal standard, that she's upgrading us to the YX level and blah, blah, blah. And that all those other classes, their teachers have been lenient with the marking and all the blahs. At the end of the day, they didn't change our marks. Nobody remarked the papers. But I personally learned something from that. I learned to up my games. I learned to know that, okay, all the, good marks I've been getting in the past, they've been like, not the real thing. So I told myself that means I need to sit up and do the real thing, that kind of a thing. And who knows, maybe that's why I'm a chartered accountant today. So for me, Mr. Jumu was a very wonderful person, and she was a very good teacher too. She was a very good teacher. Then I think I had, in fact, if I'm going to start talking about all the teachers, we will not live here today. I had so many. And I think Mr. Jumu was also my house mistress when I was in SS3. I think she was the house mistress. I was a dorm captain at the time. When they made me a dorm captain, I didn't want to be a dorm captain. I just wanted to be one of every other person like that. I didn't. So when they gave me the work as a dorm captain, I said I was not interested. I said I didn't want it. And then they told me, okay, I should go and tell her. And I walked up to her, really. And I said, Ma, I don't want to be dorm captain. And she was like, oh, really? Then you'll have to write a letter to the school telling the school that you don't want to be, that you are not responsible enough to be a dorm captain. Then you go in front of the assembly and then you read your letter to the whole school that you are not responsible enough, that you are saying that you know that you are not responsible enough to be drum captain. She gave me all sorts of, and I was like, oh, definitely I can't do this. She said, okay, if you can't do all that, then you are drum captain.
Wow.
And you are going to be drum captain. And I had to, bury my whatever it was that didn't want me to be drum captain, and then I was a drum captain. And actually I was a successful one, even if I say so myself.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So awesome. We've come to the end of it all. And this is the last one, our birthday girl for today. And Hita Erewele.
And Ita, Blue House runner.
Yes, sir.
We were in D class together. And was she in D?
I would have
I'm
thought
confused now.
C.
I think she was in C. Yes, but I think she was so full of life. C and D. We were on the same corridor. C and D. That our classes then, they were always two on a block. Yes. So C and D. So I guess she was so vivacious that I started assuming she was in D class with me. I think she was in C. You're right. But she has always been full of life. Anita has always been full of life. She cannot be in a place and you will not notice she's there. No dull moments with her.
Yes, sir.
And she's still very, very, very much like that. I remember the reunion we had. In fact, it's.
Were you there?
Yes, I was at that first reunion, and in fact, she was the life of the whole thing. She did conduct herself. When we were going to yes, she did conduct her. We sang, we did all of that, all sorts of things. She has always been a very vibrant person, and she was a runner. She has always been thick. She had these thick bones. She was very strong and energetic, and still is. If you're talking, I can't hear you.
Sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
I just have to
I just
minimize
have
it.
to minimize it.
So I think the person I forgot to mention, even I had a negative and a positive impact with her, was Princey. I was one of those who put who were caught because the rushers, all the rushers to the water. I was one of those caught in that that field who were asked to put water on their heads and just stay like that till midnight. So it wasn't a good experience. I always remember that. I can't lie. I always remember that. But then you think of the other side. Has it impacted you? How has that discipline? I'll call her a disciplinarian. And so many students will really tell you that she was a disciplinarian and she helped, every one of us to be who we are today by God's grace. So that's what I will say about Mama Shudenge.
Should I?
Yes, Princey. Well, like you said, I think it's a two-way thing. I remember back then, I there was one punishment that she gave back then that we were supposed to be carrying bricks. It was bricks that they used to build our fence back then, and it was always falling. And of course, because they had already used it for the fence, of course, the bricks now had cement inside it. So you can imagine how heavy they were. So I had one group punishment at that time given by her that we're carrying the bricks from, I think it was, I can't remember, from one end of the school to another end of the school, but it was the school area. I can't remember where. And I remember back then that we were always saying something like, in this school, they are building more laborers than future leaders, future laborers and future leaders, because we're always having one punishment or the other. There was one experience that really stays in my brain. There was a night like that. We're supposed to go for night prep, and then I can't remember how many we were, maybe like two or three of us. I can't remember the others that were there, but I remember I was there. We had a portion behind our house, behind Purple House. We had a portion there that we're supposed to cut, and we didn't cut it early or something of that nature. So we decided, or maybe one of us decided she wanted to cut her own, and then maybe two or three of us were standing there with her to watch her cut during night prep. So you can imagine the time of the day. And we were there. Princey passed, and then she saw us. She reversed, and then
Your
she
names,
brought out, of course, she brought out her book, and we had to write down our names. And
black
she was
book,
like,
black book.
the following day, forget me not book. The following day, we should see her in her office. And then, Bumi, I went into fasting and praying. Because in my head,
Principalities and powers.
she will rusticate me. I went into fasting and praying. We went to her office that day. I was shaking. I was like, the end don't come. I was really praying. Serious prayer. That day we waited and waited. Maybe she didn't come, or maybe she was busy in her office. We waited and waited. Then maybe her secretary came out and was like, we should go and come back the following day. I think we kept reporting to our office every morning, maybe for like 2 or 3 days. In fact, the hypertension nearly killed us at the end of the day. She didn't even come out to see us anymore. As in, apart from the time she told us to put our names down, she did not come out to see us. She just said we should go. And I was so happy. I was so happy. I was so sure it was my prayers that did the wonders. Honestly, fear of Princess is the beginning of all wisdom.
Yes,
Wow.
so
Yes, so
Hey, Princey.
and this is where we
and this
call
is
it
where we call it
a
a
wrap.
wrap.
Era.
Feggicolla yeah.
Yeah.
It was, couldn't have done this alone. I would just have been going next screen because I don't really know. But thank you very much for your time. The Lord bless you. Real good. You've made it worthwhile. And to those who joined online, thank you very much for joining. Thank you for watching. Thank you for, even though I haven't seen any comments, I'm hoping that comments will fly in after this video, after this live broadcast is still made available on the same link. So please like, comment, share, and let's have your own views about the negative and positive impact of teachers at Feggicolla on you. And any last words before I call it,
I call it
before I
why
end the
end the
broadcast?
broadcast.
Last words, maybe I'll just say, for those of us who still remember some very negative impacts that some teachers had on us, we should just try as much as possible to forgive and let go.
Mm,
Because honestly, it's too long to keep a grudge. We should just forgive and let go. And whatever it is they may have done at that time, it has contributed to make us whoever we are today.
true.
If negative things have happened, it has contributed to making us stronger
Mm,
as people. And of course, life is never, of course, from that time, we should have learned, or we should have seen that in actual fact, life is never fair. So
mm,
even aside those teachers, we would have come in contact with people over time who have had different negative impacts on us, who have, impacted us. So that time would, I believe, would have prepared us for such
a time of
period or such times later in life. So it has made us stronger as people. A lot of times when I hear other people talk and I listen to Feggicolla babes talk, I know that yes, that we carry something.
mm,
So, and of course, it couldn't have happened without the impact those people had on us.
mm.
So I thank God for that period. I thank God. I guess if I had to do it all over again, I think I'll still do the same.
That's good.
That's
That's
good.
good to know.
Good to know.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, all the
Yeah.
times
All the
of
times of
sorry, I need to mute
sorry, I
this
need
mic
to mute
because
this.
yeah, all the times of queuing up for water, all the times of rushing into the dining hall, all the times of waking up very early. Once you hear the morning bell, everybody big, as during exams, you run, rush, all the times of raking water, tapping water, everything, going to the well, just survival of the fittest. It was like being put in a camp where you just had to survive. And it's really built us. Even now, I tell myself, I was washing the car one of the days and I was using just not even up to a bucket because the way I managed the water, the whole thing reflected on how I used to manage water then in in Akure, in Feggicolla. When you have one bowl of water and you have to have your bath, you will manage it in a way that you must still have your bath, So I really appreciate those days and their, lovely
The
memories.
memories.
Yes. So thank you very
So
much,
thank you very
and
much, and
we'll see
we'll
on the
see on the
platform.
platform.
Yeah, yeah. Been a
Yeah.
wonderful time as always. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for putting this together.
Well, thank you.
God
Thank
bless
you.
Thank
you.
Man, thank you very much.
Thank you very
Bye.
much. Bye.
Bye.